So there's more trouble for embattled Supreme Court pick Brett Kavanaugh. Now, recently there was a page in his high school yearbook. Well, I should say his entire high school yearbook has been scrutinized by reporters, but some of them found something very interesting in one of the pages. Now, according to the New York Times, the word Renee appears at least 14 times in Georgetown Preparatory School's 1983 yearbook, on individuals' pages, and in a group photo of 9 football players, including Mr. Kavanaugh, who were described as the Renee alumni. Now, what the hell is that? I mean, that's weird. Their school isn't called Renee, is it? It's not Renee Preparatory. No, it's Georgetown Preparatory. And just let me say, I'm probably going to offend some people, but chances are if you went to a prep school, you might be a douchebag. I'm just saying. Kavanaugh is certainly not helping your case. But anyway. Okay. Renee, right? What is that? Well, apparently it's not a what, it's a who. Apparently it's a reference to a school, to a woman named Renee Schroeder, then a student at a nearby Catholic girls' school. 2 of Judge Kavanaugh's classmates say the mentions of Renee were part of the football players boasting about their conquests. Oh, okay. I get it now. So, the Renee alumni apparently are these people that say, hey, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Renee alumnus right here. Yeah. Knuckleheads basically calling this girl a conquest. Gee, fun. Now, Sean Hagen, by the way, who is a fellow classmate, Georgetown prep student, referring to Kavanaugh and his teammates, said, quote, they were actually very disrespectful, at least verbally, with Renee. Oh, well, that's very interesting. It's going to contradict one of Kavanaugh's statements I'm going to tell to you in a minute. But Hagen continues. He says, I can't express how disgusted I am with them then and now. So that's some very, very strong words from Sean Hagen. Now, earlier I said chances are you go to a prep school, you're a douchebag. Take that back. Sean Hagen, definitely not a douchebag, calling out the douchebags. But anyway, okay. Fairly clear how he feels about his former classmate. Now, this high school, by the way, the atmosphere is described as a hard drinking atmosphere, right? So a lot of drinking, a lot of partying going on. And of course, there are the frat boys. There's the frat boy culture, which is very misogynistic, right? Now, here's what's interesting about this story, right? So this woman, Renee, actually had defended Kavanaugh. Well, that's interesting. Earlier this month, Renee Schroeder Dolphin, that's her new name, joined 64 other women who saying they knew Judge Kavanaugh during their high school years, signed a letter to the leaders of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which is weighing Judge Kavanaugh's nomination. The letter stated that Kavanaugh has, quote, behaved honorably and treated women with respect. Huh. Now, the yearbook comes out, and apparently Miss Dolphin didn't know she was in the yearbook. In fact, she learned about these yearbook pages only a few days ago, Dolphin said in a statement to the New York Times. I don't know what Renee alumnus actually means. I think we know. Note, she also says, I can't begin to comprehend what goes through the minds of a 17-year-old boy who writes such things. But the insinuation is horrible, hurtful, and simply untrue. I pray their daughters are never treated this way. I will have no further comment. Okay, so she's like, I don't know what that means. I think we all do. When I was in high school, there was this saying, oh no, that girl, she's like the school bicycle. Okay. Everybody knows what that means. Saying you're an alumnus? It's sort of the 1983 Georgetown prep version of calling a woman a slut. Just to kind of spell it out. And look, there was also a poem written about her as well. I'm not going to repeat it, but basically it's not the greatest thing. Okay? So this woman apparently had a lot of stuff written about her in the yearbooks. And since she didn't go to that school, she had no idea. And when she had come across Kavanaugh, oh no, Kavanaugh, it seems like a nice guy. Yeah, great guy. Wonderful guy. Now you're finding out just exactly what kind of person that is. But anyway, here's a statement from Alexandra Walsh. Now, she's a lawyer for Judge Kavanaugh. She said, and you'll love this. Judge Kavanaugh was friends with Dolphin in high school. He admired her very much then, and he admires her to this day. You know what? It would have to depend on what your definition of admire is. Just saying. Doesn't seem like he respected her at all, because he insinuated some pretty hurtful things about her in the yearbook. Now, Judge Kavanaugh and Miss Dolphin, this is going back to Alexandra Walsh here, said they attended one high school event together and shared a brief kiss goodnight following that event. They had no other such encounter. The language from Judge Kavanaugh's high school yearbook refers to the fact that he and Miss Dolphin attended that one high school event together and nothing else. He and a bunch of other guys? And then people coming up with weird poems about her? Oh no, it was just that one dance. That's all they went to. Now, of course, Miss Dolphin comes back and says, actually, that's not even true. Quote, I think Brett must have confused me with someone else. I never kissed him. So this is basically turned into a high school drama. Fascinating. So, okay, here's my take of it, right? And I could be way off. I could be wrong. And I'm really kind of speculating into the personal lives of people, and I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to get myself in trouble. This seems like a woman who was probably not interested in dating Kavanaugh, right? Or people like him, right? And look, if you're somebody who rejects advances to certain men, well, certain men, those men might start some rumors. Those rumors go around. It's sort of like the guys who, if they're denied, they get turned down. They end up getting aggressive for being turned down because you hurt their feelings, you hurt their pride, right? And I think that there's a lot of women that are probably going to back me up on this. Look, I've seen text messages to friends of mine from random guys, right? They start out nice. Hey, how you doing? You know, you're beautiful. You got such a nice smile. And then it's like, hey, can you show me some pictures? And then when you're not interested, girl's like, I'm not interested, or they don't answer back, it devolves into, well, fuck you, slut. What are you, too good for me? I mean, come on. I think a lot of women have probably had that experience. So this might be a little bit of that. Oh no, I respect, I really admire this woman so much that I insinuate that she's a slut. Right. Now, continuing on. Some of Judge Kavanaugh's high school peers said that there was a widespread culture at the time of objectifying women. No, really? Creepy frat boys objectifying women in high school? No. Well, I never. Yeah, of course that's what happens. And of course, this is a case of that. In fact, people claiming that they had sex with other people was not terribly unusual, and it was not terribly believable, said William Fishburne, who was in Judge Kavanaugh's graduated class and was a manager for the football team. Not just Brett and his particular group, but all the classmates in general. People would claim things they hadn't done to sort of seem bigger than they were, older than they were. Bill Barbett, who was a freshman at Georgetown Prep when Judge Kavanaugh was a senior, said Kavanaugh and his clique were part of the school's fratty culture. There was a lot of talk and presumably a lot of action about sexual conquest with girls, Barbeau said. So what this is, and actually you can look at this as just one example of some of the toxic culture in high schools and colleges. I mean, look, the most important takeaway here actually is not really about Kavanaugh himself, but it's the culture surrounding it, right? I think there needs to be a broader discussion on how men traditionally treat women, especially young men in school situations, how they treat women. Okay. And yet, of course, there are going to be people who defend that and say, oh, no, the boys are just being boys. Yeah, maybe, well, no, I don't agree with that. Boys being boys, that's not being boys. That's being a douchebag. That's being a jerk. Maybe we should actually, I don't know, not be like that and not be assholes. That'd be great. But anyway, Susan Matan, a friend of Kavanaugh's from high school, says, oh, no. These guys weren't any different than other boys' high schools across the country. And I chose to hang out with those boys, and many other girls did too, because they were fun, they were safe, and they were respectful. Well, what they did to poor Renee, not so respectful, very disrespectful, in fact. Now, some of Judge Kavanaugh's peers said they doubted that the yearbook notations were good-natured. No, really. Quote, this is Mr. Fishburne again, saying those guys weren't big on crushes. I think they felt that if a girl didn't want to date them, they must be gay. I'm serious. So again, this goes back to douchebag frat guy culture and toxic masculinity. That's it. I know some people get triggered by that, but there is masculinity, being a strong person, being a strong role model, being a good man. And then there's toxic masculinity, which is going around making shitty insinuations about women, right, that are not factual. And even if you did have a sexual conquest with such a person, that doesn't mean everybody else should know about it. That doesn't mean you should go out and brag to everybody. It's ridiculous. And that definitely needs to be addressed. We need to actually start, I don't know, learning how to respect people. But anyway, look, that frat boy culture got to change. Now, if this is who he was, right, and he is no longer that person, then what would satisfy me is him coming out and saying, look, man, I was a dick. Like, I was not a good person when I was in high school. I said things that I didn't, that I shouldn't have. I said things that I didn't mean. Or I met him at the time, and then I grew up because I was a ridiculous bonehead, knucklehead, frat guy. I'm not that person anymore. I actually take things seriously. And I apologize for what I said in the past about women, and etc. Now, that's separate from the allegations. If the allegations against him are not true, then I think an apology for being an insensitive asshole would be fine. Now, again, that's separate from allegations, if the allegations are true, but it's also separate from his political stances. I'm against him politically. But as a person, if he comes out and says, and this applies to everybody, if you come out later and say, I was a douchebag, and I'm not a douchebag, I'm not that same person anymore, and I made a lot of mistakes, then great. Okay, great. You're taking responsibility for your actions, for your words. Because, look, I've made mistakes. I have my, one of my high school pictures, I'm wearing a very questionable t-shirt, right? That I know was wrong. And I apologize for it because it was ridiculous and I was dumb. You grow up and you hopefully become a better person. So all this is not about going back and saying, oh, Kavanaugh is so terrible when he was younger and there's no redemption whatsoever. No, if he was a douchebag back then, but he's not a douchebag anymore, and he didn't do those things, those allegations, again, I'm still going to be against him politically because he has some pretty abhorrent views. But at least I'd be like, okay, you know what? You made mistakes in the past. I'm not going to hold that against you. So that's what I'm trying to be like incredibly fair and actually have some standards. I know the right doesn't have a lot of standards, but at least I try to have standards. But at the same time, if the allegations are true, well, then that's it. You may have made mistakes in the past, but one mistake that is unforgivable is sexual assault or rape. Okay? Those are the things that are unforgivable. And that's what he's accused of. And now there are more accusers coming out, which, if they're true, establishes a pattern of behavior. And we're already up to 4 now. Okay? And again, we need an investigation to see if those are true. And if one of those or 2 of those or any of those are true, he must immediately withdraw himself from consideration. Because this is a job interview for a very, very important lifetime position. And we should not allow people on the court that have done heinous things to serve on that court. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.